Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 615 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Robert Ciprian, and we talk about the artistic expression through chiropractic and his book, Heal Profoundly. Stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today I have Dr. Robert Ciprian with me. This is episode 615. I'm going to let you know our big why, then we'll jump into his story. We're going to talk about finding chiropractic, outliving your past, some of his mentors, and the artistic expression of chiropractic. Our big why. Why do we do what we do? Well, freedom of speech is so important to us. That's why we started this show. And we've never censored anyone. We know what it's like to be shadow banned and traffic throttled, and we don't want that for anyone else. We believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They are not the same things. But if you're looking for that, find yourself a chiropractor and they'll set you free. We also believe in protecting the sacred trust of chiropractic. If you don't know what that is, if you do not know what that is, check out BJ Palmer's Last Words. Go and search for BJ Palmer's Last Words, or check out the show notes within our shows over at chirohustle.com. You can find out what the sacred trust is and why that is so valuable and important to what we're doing today with this profession. We support subluxation-centered chiropractic. I don't adjust people, but I take care of the subluxation above the atlas, if you know what that means. And we believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that, Dr. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here with you.
Yeah, you know, I am thrilled to hold space for chiropractors time and time again. I'm not a mathlete, but I do know numbers. And, you know, we've done around 1,300 interviews over the past 6.5 years, and we're just weaving this tapestry of truth. And I just did some presentations over in London, and I told them the reason we've done this is so there's irrefutable evidence and truth from the voices of chiropractors telling people what chiropractic is. That way no one can ever come in and undocument it and change the story brand of what chiropractic is based on their agenda. Because now we have such a stronghold and a database of knowledge that we have this from the voice of chiropractors at such a documented pace that it doesn't matter what somebody wants to come in and do to manipulate the truth of chiropractic. You can't now. So pretty cool, pretty strong. And your story is something that I mean, when I read your bio, I was like, I resonated with a lot because I also come from a non-traditional background when it comes to, becoming a man. But can you walk us through the journey of how you found chiropractic?
All right. Yeah. I grew up in Queens, New York. I had a father that was involved in some organized crime thing with the Hells Angels. So I grew up in that kind of influence. I used to have the former president of the Hells Angels come over to my house for Sunday dinner. Me, when I got a bit older, I just not consciously, but got involved with gangs in Queens, New York. And I was getting in a lot of trouble and actually got into graffiti. I wound up becoming an internationally known graffiti artist. Also got in trouble for that. Also it's in the newspaper, on the news, all these other things. And I wanted to get out. I wanted to get out of my situation, out of my environment. I kept trying to escape with girlfriends or different things like that. And then I had this within 3 months, the universe gave me a big spiritual 2x4 over the head. I lost my job. I was dumped by my girlfriend at the time my father was killed. And I was just like, I'm out of here. I'm gone. So I decided to move across the country to California and go to school, Cleveland Chiropractic College, to become a chiropractor. I didn't know what I was in for.
Yeah. And I think that we could unpack a little bit more of that story. From going from the dark to the light, from coming from New York to the West Coast. What was that journey like for you?
Well, it was like I never really, when I was older. I mean, I was in Los Angeles when I was very young, but when I was older, I was never really there. And this is before the time of like a lot of internet and stuff like that. Like I had to send a check out to this apartment complex. I had to do my whole registration for school by paper and mail it in and like on the phone. So I get out there, I didn't know what it was like. I got out there and I'm in this school. And like you were saying, I came from a different background than the people that were there. My parents weren't doctors. I didn't have a Mercedes in the parking lot, all this stuff. I'm just like, all right, I'm here and I got to figure this out. And I had some connections with some gang members from New York that I knew out there. And I was getting involved in graffiti and stuff out there. And I almost got locked up by the LA Gang Task Force. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to dump all my connections I have to my past. I'm going to focus on school and chiropractic. And once I made that dedication, these mentors started showing up in my life. Mm-hmm. And I was just blown away. As a child, I was always kind of spiritually inclined, like I had a lot of mystical experiences as a child. And I'm seeing some of the stuff these doctors are doing in front of my face with patients. And I'm like, my God, I got to do this stuff. This is amazing. So I was just opened up and blown away. And I really found that I wasn't going to school to like just work on football players. I was going to school to like help people in all aspects of their lives.
So I use the comparison quite a bit to belief systems. Did you always believe in chiropractic, or is that something that like came to you while you were in school?
No, not at all. I was racing motocross as a kid a little bit. I got hurt a few times. So my mom's like, oh, go see my chiropractor. So my foot was really banged up from motocross. He pulls my foot, yanks it, boom, pain's gone. I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. Like pain's just gone. All right, that works. I had some neck issues. They're working on my neck, but my neck was a little bit more difficult. They'd work on me, pain would come back in 10, 15 minutes. They'd work on me, pain come back in an hour. And they're like, oh, it's something you got to work on. But when I got to school and I discovered a more holistic type of chiropractic, like applied kinesiology and NET and TBM, and I got around some of these greats, they taught me some other things. When my first mentors, Dr. Howard Cohn, he's like, oh, your neck is kind of out of place because of your digestive issues. And once he cleared up my digestive issues, my C1 stayed in place. I'm like, oh, okay, like that kind of all started making sense. And from some of my other mentors, like Timothy Francis, learning all the functional biomechanics of gait, learning how the emotions affect the whole body, learning how the acupuncture meridians also couple with the nervous system. So I really got into a lot of the functional aspect of the human body and the power, how chiropractic could work with all that stuff, which to me, when I dig into that stuff and I see chiropractic even more powerful than I realized in the beginning.
So you're 24 years into this as a practicing DC. When did you actually mature and grow up and say, this is like the real deal for me?
All right. Well, I don't think I've actually ever matured and grew up yet. No, when I was in school, I was so into some of these things like the Applied Kinesiology Club and learning from Dr. Howard Cohn, Dr. Timothy Francis, Dr. Robert Blake, some of these great minds, Dr. George Goodhart. And some things changed in my school. Some people graduated that were kind of like leading these movements in our school and the club. So right away, it's like, hey, Robert, guess what? You're going to take over the Applied Kinesiology Club. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Well, no, just figure it out. Don't worry about it. I'm like, Then you're going to bring these speakers in. I'm like, I don't know how to do it here. You'll just set it up with the school. Like, I got thrown into a leadership role here because I was so excited about things, but I got thrown into this leadership role, didn't know what I was doing. So I matured really quickly into that aspect of it. And I was responsible for a big portion of the school getting really into these things, like not just the rehab stuff, not just musculoskeletal, but really the deeper concept and philosophies, and actually practically making the philosophies work on a regular basis. And I think I had a big influence in all that while I was at school.
Yeah, that's kind of the direction I was looking for you to go, is because, there's also a lot of students watch our show,
Yeah.
like one of our fastest growing segments of viewership is chiropractic students. And I think that that's one of the best parts about what we do, is we get a chance to have, like, to pass the torch on to others. If somebody's, like, say in their last year of college, and they're coming into the DC program and finishing it out, what advice might you give them to take with them?
Find mentors, find mentors, find mentors. Find mentors that are creating miracles every day. Go see what they're doing. Offer to just clean up their office for free. Offer to take them out for a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. Whatever you could do and afford. Get around people that are doing the miraculous. Or, focus on school, cooperate and graduate, but find the miracle workers out there and just don't take no for an answer. Just stick around them. My first big mentor, Dr. Timothy Francis, who pretty much saved my life from the toxicity stuff I was going through because of my past history as a gang member and graffiti artist. At first, he's like, no, I don't have students into my office. I literally started taking patients to his office to get treated, because if I go with someone, I could watch. So I kept driving from Los Angeles to Las Vegas with patients that were getting treated by him. Finally, he was like, okay, Rob, I'll teach you some stuff. I wasn't taking no for an answer. So you got to find mentors, because they're going to show you above and beyond what you're learning in school.
Yeah, I think that that's really true. And now we have more access points to, like you said, when you got into school, you had to, like, mail in, like, your application and do it on paper. And nowadays we have access points with social media to so many people. How would you speed people up to find their mentors?
Just word of mouth. Talk to the people that are way up there in your school. Talk to other docs, ask them who they learn from, who they look up to. Go to the top as quick as you can. I got enough to be around Dr. George Goodhart for a little bit before he passed on. And, that man is an icon, not only in chiropractic, but in just natural healthcare. I mean, Time Magazine wrote about him. And I was just blessed to be in some of his classes. I had no clue what he was talking about at the time, but just being around him and seeing all the other caliber of doctors there, I just knew that whatever he was talking about was just some of the most miraculous stuff you could imagine. So yeah, so just talk to other doctors, talk to other students that are way up there with experience in school already, talk to some of your teachers in school, ask them, who do you look up to? Who do you think is really some of the most important people around this area in chiropractic?
Yeah, now let's jump into practice growth. Because we all think that we know what we know, and then we think that we're really good and talented. But what did you do to, like, start building a practice early on, and how did you make it sustainable?
I just started creating miracles as quick as I could. When I was in the school clinic, I was kind of known as Dr. Fix-It. If anyone was graduating, they give their toughest patients to me. If anyone was having problems getting someone kind of well, they refer them to me. If anyone hurt a patient in the clinic, they're like, get Rob, get him over here. And I would fix them. I would have the clinicians at the time in my clinic bring in all the problem patients to me, and they would even kind of watch my back, as I did some things that kind of weren't allowed in the school clinic at the time while I was doing them, because they knew what I was capable of. So I got out there and I learned as much as I could from some of these greats out there. I was implementing them already in school and getting people well. So by the time I was in the clinic, I was already doing, I would say, even more than a lot of doctors in my field were doing already. And when you get people well, they just refer to you. They refer to you. Last practice I had in Washington, D.C., my Yelp my Google, I definitely recommend getting on there. Are all straight 5-star reviews. I mean, some of the most amazing reviews ever. I was so just honored by my patients that they thought that way of me. And that's why people came to me, because, in more modern times with the internet, Yelp and Google, just getting on there and just when somebody says, wow, you fixed this or you fixed that, or I could sleep better, I don't have anxiety, I don't have the back pain anymore. That's so great. I'm happy that you responded so well. You know what? It would really help me a lot if you would go and just make a little comment about that online somewhere. Give me a great review and just, ask people just very nicely to do it, and people would love to do it.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. Yeah, I started out 15 years ago in chiropractic, and one of my early things I did was patient testimonials.
Yeah.
Because we realized even then that like third-party validation was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And when people felt like commonality with somebody else that went through something like they're experiencing, that would like give people a light bulb moment that they'd be like, maybe I should try this stuff too. It's not what somebody told me that it's supposed to be. It's something different. And if they can help with that, unfortunately, in this world that we live in, symptoms sell.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when you're experiencing something, somebody else has already experienced that and they've gotten a breakthrough, like you said, these miracles with getting chiropractic adjustments in their life. And who knows, maybe it is a gut biome thing and it is your C1 that's constantly subluxated. And if they clear up your gut biome, they can clear up that C1 subluxation, which allows your body to go back into, where you want it to be and no longer having, headaches and misalignments of your cervical spine, which I think is absolutely, a revolution for a lot of people when they're dealing with something that's so entrenched and they've tried everything. And like you said, when they're a tough case and they actually come in and start getting better results faster with chiropractic, it wasn't about their, it wasn't about their lack of Advil in their body. It wasn't about their lack of muscle relaxers in their body. It was a misalignment of their nervous system causing a downstream effect wherever it might be.
Yeah, and also just educating people. Okay, your neck, we had to put it in place a few times already. Well, why does it keep going out of place? All right, well, there's a philosophy of chiropractic. You have the biochemical aspect. That means either maybe you have too much of something like a toxicity or too little of something like a deficiency. We also have the mental emotional piece. If you got some emotional stresses, you need to sit there and kind of clear what you can out of your life that's too stressful for you, or learn to just process these emotions also. And just got to explain to patients, educate them why these things happen. And for me, I work with different subluxations related to different things through nervous system autonomics or through acupuncture meridians or whatever. So I'll explain to someone, okay, the upper back area there that keeps going out and is stressful for you, that might be related to your thyroid. That might be related to your blood sugar. That might be related to heart stresses. So we got to look at some of those too to work on this. But as we fix this every time, we're getting those aspects better in you too. And when you educate people like that, they're going to be bringing in their friends and their family and just everybody because, oh, well, Dr. So-and-so can help with this. He can help with that because they know more. It's more than just fixing musculoskeletal.
Big topic here. Where's the profession going? I know you've been a part of it for over 2 decades. Where do you think, just based on your analysis and where you are in your career, where do you see chiropractic headed?
I see a big effort to dissolve some of the potency we have, of course. We see that with education. We see that with also creating within our profession a lot of polarities and infighting, which I think is the worst enemy to chiropractic. I think if we realize that we're all on a spectrum of doing things in a different way because we're all working with the art and the science here, that we could all help each other. And when we could all help each other, when we're all come united, we're going to be much stronger than we could be right now. So I really think that we have to never bash another chiropractic for them doing something different than the way we do it, because we all have our benefits. We all help different people. We all help in a different way. And my hope for the future is that we get together and united, and also unite with other people in natural healthcare too, to say, hey, we have so many solutions here for people, because if you look at the model out there, you realize it's not working that great. And just kind of work within educating the public that there's all these things available that are miraculous compared to what's going on in more contemporary medicine, let's call it.
Yeah, over the weekend, I gave a talk in London, and I said to the group, I was like, look, chiropractic's like gravity. It works whether you believe it or not. You don't have to believe in it. You just got to lay down on the bench and get adjusted. And there's a physical, chemical, and emotional component to this. And sometimes when people come in, they have subluxation because of toxicity. And that is a chemical component. And sometimes people come in because they have a trauma component. They've been injured. One gal that talked before me fell off a horse when she was young and it messed up her sacrum. And, imagine that if that was like your trauma and you were like developing that way, and like no one ever took you to a chiropractor and you had a sacrum that's twisted. What's that going to do to, like you were saying earlier about gait dynamics? What's it going to do to the way that your body like has the motion in life? And then what is that going to do to the emotion of your life? So now we have the emotional component to this. So the toxicity causes the emotional component, or the emotional component causes the toxicity component. So it's this whole triune that happens inside of the chemistry of people. And I learned that watching this video by Reggie Gold called The Chemistry of Life. And he was like, yeah, a subluxation can affect your glandular system, which affects your taste buds. And, the first miracle in chiropractic was a trauma case, which was Harvey Lillard, that hurt his upper back and lost his hearing. So for the next 30 years, people thought chiropractors were ear doctors. So when you think about like the component of how somebody comes into a chiropractic program, whether they become a student because of that, or they become the greatest advocate or referral source because you were able to take care of them and help them stay away from the pills, potions, and lotions.
Yeah. And I mean, even as I was a student, I was realizing some of the miracles. And, God bless her heart, but my girlfriend at the time was one of my biggest experiments, and she'd get like a bladder infection or something. I'm like, okay, let's adjust your atlas, and just, boom, oh, bladder's better. Every time I come back, she's like, you working out again? Yeah, bladder's better. Just start realizing some of these, oh, digestive issues. Okay, let's adjust you. Let's get your digestion fixed back up. Oh, bad mood. Okay, let's adjust you. Let's get you in a better mood. That could be a huge thing too. So yeah, if it is one of the most potent tools out there. But you got to realize too, so this is important for the docs and the students out there. When you're going to place your hand on somebody and adjust them, don't just think, oh, I'm going to put a segment back in place. Think, this is going to change who this person is. This is going to restore them to maybe better function they've ever been in their whole life. This is going to help everyone around them. In a way, this little thing I'm going to do right here can have a butterfly effect and affect the whole world. When you go into an adjustment with that presence and that energy, guess what? That's what you're creating and delivering. So you got to really think big when you're going into this, and then you get bigger results.
Yeah. And to lead on to that, I've scheduled about 10,000 people in as new patients to chiropractic clinics since 2016. And sometimes people will come by and they really want to talk, smack about chiropractic. And I always tell them, like, um, just don't go into it that mindset. And I try not to like really take them to task, but and they say, like, once again, I don't believe in chiropractic. And I tell them, well, chiropractic's not a belief system, it's a healing art. And I tell them, just, kind of be funny, but the Easter Bunny is a belief system, and Santa Claus is a belief system. But I tell them that like chiropractic is a healing art, and it's about reconnecting your nervous system back to the functionality of your organs, tissues, and cells. And if you want that, there's nothing that you can take from outside in perspective that's going to make that better. And you have to take care of like what's inside of you. And if you neglect that, then you're never going to find any improvement with whatever you're dealing with. And yeah, you probably will have a bad attitude as well.
Definitely. And it really, I tell a lot of people this when we go through the education of a doctor of chiropractic versus medical doctor, that we spend the time not studying pharmacology, but we study embryology. We study the development of the human being. We study more anatomy. We study more even clinical nutrition, all these other basics of how the human works. And we realize that when the human body is just let to do what it's going to do, it is healthy. It's actually supernatural when you let it do what it's meant to do. Things that aren't supposed to be curable diseases, guess what? They just miraculously go away.
Well, that's like our opener. When somebody gets chiropractic adjustment, it connects man, the physical, to man, the spiritual.
Mhm.
And the supernatural is able to flow through the body from above down, inside out. And I say this just wholeheartedly: the body needs nothing extra in it, it simply needs no interference. Once
Mhm.
a chiropractor clears the interference, the body's a self-healing, self-regulating organism. It's not mechanistic at all, it's vitalistic. And I know that there's been a huge approach over the past decade between vitalism and mechanism. And I think that there is a way to like help people through mechanistic adjustment, but it's only going to improve the vitalism of that person. And I think you can base everything on the pain scale, but it's still going to have an impact on people as far as vitalistic healing. And I do believe that you can follow the model that they're trying to put chiropractic into as a musculoskeletal like profession, and have it very pain based. It doesn't matter the way that they think about it. It still is going to have an outcome of delivering care to somebody that restores them back to health and healing, which I know there's a lot of dogma that's involved within this profession. So if we can just get past like the ideology and know that when you're adjusting somebody and you're removing the interference, the body self heals, self regulates, and that will dictate the future of where this profession will go.
Yeah, we are designed to operate perfectly. We are designed to be superhuman, and we're the only one that gets in the way of that. And when something gets in the way of it, we can get it cleared up. Boom, we get right back there again, or even better than when we were born.
Mm. So evolution now. You've been you're going to your 25th year as a practitioner. What's next for you?
Oh, my years in chiropractic have been such a education to me through God, through the universe. I have experienced so much. I've gone through, regular, just functional chiropractic, got into the applied kinesiology, got into neuroemotional technique. I started getting into different forms of energy work and shamanism and even other energetic type techniques. And I've been as holistic and even esoteric as I can be. I still see the foundation of chiropractic. I'm always going to be preaching that because it is one of the most important things that can be done for somebody on just a basic level. For me, where I'm going is working more to kind of help people people who are just in the public to take care of their health more. I wrote a book called Heal Profoundly about my journey of my own healing and spiritual awakening and everything, but to also help practitioners, chiropractors, to understand that, to realize the power that they have to help people and to get more into holistic aspects. I've done plenty of teaching as a teacher for almost 15 years, and now I'm doing more kind of coaching for that to help people. And for me, it is working toward the spiritual aspect of things a lot more also. I'm not one to use like plant medicine or drugs or anything like that, but I've just, through my own meditation and things like that, have just had some most profound spiritual experiences that I didn't even know were possible. And I realized that comes from just having yourself lined up properly, having yourself tuned in and turned on, having interference cleared out of your body, and working toward with intention what you're working toward in your life. If I never started this journey as a chiropractor, I don't think I'd be anywhere where I am now. And this is kind of like the foundation for all of that. It literally saved my life. Because if I never would have got into chiropractic, I probably still would have been involved in gangs and all the stuff that was going on in there. And it's not too pretty. So for me, I'm on this quest to, through myself, my own self-healing, my own self-help, to help everyone else in the world as best I can. And I don't know where it's going to be day to day. We'll just see what opportunities come up to me next for that.
My favorite part of today's conversation with you is moving from dark to light. And how can we take something from our past that was a dark place and move to a place of healing and realization that there is greater good out there? And that if we take care of ourselves the best we know how to, we can take care of others even better. And I think that that's super profound with having the conversation with you today on the Chiro Hustle podcast. Is there anything I didn't ask you today that you think that you'd like to share with our audience before we call it a night?
Just for the docs, and especially for the students, think big. Never consider that you have a roof of where you're going, what you're going to do. I came from gang member graffiti artist in Queens, New York. I never in my life thought that I would be teaching to other doctors, all natural healthcare fields and medical. I never thought the one of the pinnacles of my career is I was invited into Secret Service headquarters in Washington, D.C., and I did a lecture for how they can combat stress better through their career and their job. I never thought that, I would be in Secret Service headquarters teaching and televised live to agents all around the world. I mean, to me, it just never put a cap on yourself. Just always dream big. Always just say, okay, universe, what do you have for me today? And expect great things that you can't even imagine.
Well, I got 3 quotes from BJ Palmer to close out with. You never know how far reaching something you may say or do today will have the impact on millions of lives tomorrow. And once you get the big idea, all else will follow. And I'm going to close out the last one. I love you because you love what I love, and that's chiropractic. And that's BJ Palmer from the heart. I come from Davenport, Iowa. It's my hometown. And I don't know why I was chosen to be a part of this beautiful profession of chiropractic. It might have been in my water, but chiropractic happened 1 mile from my boyhood home. And just really thankful to be a megaphone for chiropractic and to be able to tell these stories and to be able to build this tapestry of truth for anybody that's looking for clarity when it comes to this big idea of chiropractic. And with that, Dr. Robert, I appreciate you being on for episode 615 of the Chiro Hustle podcast.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Yeah. And I close out all the time by telling you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.